As an engineer and later as a manager, I was accustomed to measuring progress by making sure our work proceeded according to plan, was high quality, and cost about what we had projected. After many years as an entrepreneur, I started to worry about measuring progress in this way. What if we found ourselves building something that nobody wanted? In that case, what did it matter if we did it on time and on budget? Eric Ries. The core question: how can I build an innovative product without wasting a bunch of time and effort? Entrepreneurship and innovation waste time and effort by their very nature because there is no exact plan for how to be successful. If you don't have a clear plan, you might be tempted to use your gut, the advice of experts, or focus group surveys to figure out if the work you are doing will be useful in the long run. But author Eric Ries says that this is the wrong way to go about things. In 2004, Eric Ries was the chief technology officer of IMVU, a startup company in Silicon Valley. After spending 6 months making a product that no one wanted, Eric Ries and his team found that they could avoid wasting time by making preliminary, and sometimes embarrassing, products and giving them to target customers to see what they did with them. The lean startup method is what Eric Ries calls this. The method of the lean startup. 1. Create a vision. Write a short, high-level summary of what your product or service is. This is not a step-by-step plan for how to do something. It's just a framework you can use to explain the value of your idea to others and find out what assumptions are most important. I like to write a vision for a new business in the form of a list and from the perspective of an end user. This is a story about how a target customer would use my product or service for the first time. 2. Identify critical assumptions. Look at your vision and ask, what assumptions about value have I made that, if wrong, would cause me to waste a lot of time and effort? Because the value seems clear to you, it's easy to miss the list of assumptions in your vision/value proposition. What you think is simple and important is often hard to understand and has no meaning to other people. If you don't find and test the assumptions in your value proposition, you could waste time and be frustrated in the future. 3. Build minimum viable products, MVPs, to test critical assumptions. Choose one important assumption and ask yourself, what early version of my desired product can I build to test this assumption? You can use this as a guide to make your MVP. What part, feature, or process of my ideal product doesn't have to be there in order to test my theory? An MVP is a version of your final product that isn't as full as the full version, but it still works and is useful to your loyal customers. IMVU's minimum viable product development strategy. Instead of spending years perfecting our technology, we build a minimum viable product that is terrible, full of bugs, and crash your computer's really stability problems. Then we ship it to customers way before it's ready. And we charge money for it. After securing initial customers, we change the product constantly, much too fast by traditional standards, shipping new versions of our product dozens of times every single day. Eric Ries. 4. Release MVP and measure behavior. Once you've made an MVP that has enough features to test a key assumption, it's time to give it to a small group of potential customers. This process is scary, but it's important to ask yourself, am I willing to temporarily look stupid to customers if it means making a great product? Would I rather wait and maybe lose a significant amount of time and work? If you had a creative idea for a new board game, you could. 1. Make an ad on Facebook and aim it at a small group of people who play board games a lot. 2. Send people to a website that has an animated video about your board game. This is your minimum viable product. 3. Put a pre-order, $20 button at the bottom of the website, along with an estimate of when the board game will be available. Once the MVP is out in the open, you need to look at key metrics to prove that your product or service works. In this case, you could compare how many clicks your ad gets to a typical Facebook ad, how long people spend watching your video on average, or how many pre-orders you get for every person who visits your website. 5. Pivot or persevere. Change your MVP to get the customer behavior you want, clicks, time spent, pre-orders, etc. If after several iterations you don't see the customer behavior you want, it's time to switch to a new product strategy and vision. The sign of a successful pivot is that these engine tuning activities are more productive after the pivot than before. Eric Ries. When doing creative, innovative work, you should always ask yourself, which of my efforts are adding value, and which are just wasting my time? Then, instead of relying on market research, focus groups, or your gut, look for data from real-world experience.